Hey, Brandon here. Welcome to the channel and thanks for tuning in. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Big Boards station here. If you're a longtime subscriber, welcome back. You guys know the drill with these 2025 rookie profiles. Today, we're going to dig into the Luther Burden profile. I'm going to be joined by Jason DiRienzo, my podcast co-host. We've cut up the All-22 film. We've watched his games versus Boston College and Vanderbilt on the All-22. We watched the majority of his games this year. True Jr. headed to the NFL draft, all right? We're going to tell you everything that we saw on the film. We're going to tell you what we see, his good traits, things that we think might hold him back as a consistent dynasty producer. We're going to talk about his NFL draft capital. We're going to talk about his rookie draft location. Is he a one-day first-round lock, or could he slip to the second round? And, of course, we're going to talk about player comps as well. So if you're looking for a YouTube channel out there, guys, that are going to get you ready for your 2025 rookie drafts, hit that subscribe button. Help me grow the channel. I'm on my march to 15,000 subscribers. Help me get there. And if you want access to the all 22 films that we watched and cut up, we actually did a play-by-play breakdown of each play and discussed his traits. Check out the website below. It's $25 a year, which is like buying me a case of beer for all the films I cut up. It'll be well worth the value. Let's not waste any more time. Enjoy the show. All right, Jason, I'm excited for this one. Let's talk about Luther Burden Jr., 5'11", 208-pound wide receiver from Missouri. We watched his all 22 films. We cut them up. We did a play-by-play again. If you guys want access to that, you'll have to join our Big Board subscription. We watched him versus Boston College and Vanderbilt. And, I think we came away impressed with his film overall. We're a little concerned, I think, about the usage of him, right?
Yeah.
We don't see a lot of vertical plays. So tell the good people, what your overall thought was on, after, we cut up and watched those films.
That's interesting. Usually when you and I watch all 22 film, it's to get some questions answered. And I feel like I still have some questions after watching Luther Burden because the scheme of Missouri just kind of drove me crazy watching how they are just kind of scheming him open. So
Yeah.
let me just kind of go into the skill set real quick though. Off the line of scrimmage, like it's not an explosive release. He does play against a lot of off man coverage and they get him in space quite a bit, but I see him eating into the cushion and being manipulative with his eyes when he's going vertical within the first 5 yards. So I think he won't have a problem with off man coverage at the next level, and that's not going to be an issue. They put a bunch of formations, 3-by-1 sets, trying to scheme him open in those situations, and he maximizes what he's asked to do. And I don't think we should take anything away from he's hitting his assignments exactly how they're asking him to hit them. So he doesn't have the greatest speed, but he's got that physicality. He's got that manipulation, moving safeties and everything with his eyes, with how he moves. I think he's got great field awareness with understanding pursuit angles and exploiting those in order to create for himself when he's got the ball in his hands. And I think the yak ability is going to be a big portion of his game. He doesn't have great downfield speed, but he is able to maximize how he kind of maneuvers through zone coverage and doesn't allow the pursuit angles to limit his speed. He'll kind of stop, pivot, and allow the defender to kind of break in front of him and then continue taking off. So I think there's some intelligence there with Luther Burden that's going to help. And he's got great hands. He's very reliable. We saw in the last game where came up clutch in the last part, along the perimeter, great hands, fought off coverage and got the touchdown. And that's exactly what we can expect from him. I think he can be a playmaker. He's just got limited athleticism, but the intelligence to see on the field and know exactly how to exploit defensive coverages is going to play a big role. So I see an intelligent receiver with good hands.
Yeah, he's definitely got solid hands. I mean, he's got a 75% catch percentage on 53 targets this year. He had 70% catch percentage back in 2023. So he's got 574 yards through week 12 and 5 TDs. So yeah, I mean, we watched the film and, we were just kind of yearning for some vertical play, right? I mean, we've seen him win vertical on the boundary in the past, but this year he's not been super explosive when it comes to his ADOT kind of fell this year at 9. Previous years, it's been a little bit more. So, but I agree with you. Again, versatility is what I think is going to be really attractive to an NFL. I mean, you brought up I can't wait for your comp, because when you told me your comp, and we'll get to that in a minute, the more I kind of like it. I was a little scared coming off those film reviews, to be honest with you, because of the schemed open. We didn't see him facing press, but I am going to disagree with you a little bit on his release and acceleration. I think he has an initial first burst, and maybe we just didn't see it on the film because he never faced off coverage. He never, I'm sorry, faced press
That's true.
coverage, or
Yeah.
he was in those bunch formations. But he was relatively able to stack the defenders that when we did see small limited vertical plays. But I agree with you completely. With his yak ability is really good, and his hands and his concentration at the catch point and his physicality, I think, is really good. He's a very tough player. So your comp, I think, is going to kind of roll into that as well. So I'm not going to say I'm a little bit nervous of just his usage a little bit,
Oh, for sure.
but
There's a lot to be nervous
you
about
know.
because it's all gotta come together at the next level, you
Because
know?
he's been like a wide receiver lock 1 or 2 for pretty much everybody. But he's
Right.
just not having the most productive season, and that could be a product of his environment too. So, let's go into the draft capital. I mean, do you think he is a day one lock? Is there any chance he falls into day two at all in your mind, or is he a day one lock?
I mean, it wouldn't shock me if he falls out of day one, just
Hmm.
because maybe there's another receiver that people like and they want someone more explosive with a downfield threat. I mean, the NFL covets speed. So I think the combine could change this a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. But I do think that he's a top 20 NFL draft pick based on what he can do. And I don't think Missouri used him properly. I don't think he needs to be used at the line of scrimmage. I think you need to exploit the center of zone coverage, get him in space, and maximize that yak ability and his physicality in hands.
Yeah. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, if he does fall into day two just a little bit, not far, but maybe just a little bit. So he's got to be a
Yeah,
round one lock, right? Even in super flex rookie drafts, you think he's a round one lock?
I think he is. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
I would be taking him in that range for sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure, especially if he gets a great landing spot like Dallas or
Mm.
somewhere, where he gets a great
Oh,
opportunity. So,
that's a
so
great
my
spot.
player comp for him was Deontay Johnson, and the reason I picked Deontay Johnson was because I think Deontay Johnson has the physicality and the way that he's been used when he was at Pittsburgh and everything. He wasn't that vertical threat. He was more used around the line of scrimmage in the first 20 yards, typically on inside slants and out routes and that type of thing. And just when I watched Luther Burden in those films, I just saw Deontay Johnson, and hopefully he has a better career than Deontay Johnson. But Deontay Johnson in his prime, early in his career, was a damn good fantasy producer.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
he was my comp. But I know everyone watching and listening to this is going to like yours a whole lot better because if he turns into your comp, well then I guess I'm a little too low on him.
Well, hey, let's put it this way. Johnson was looking good until he got traded to the Ravens, so
Yeah,
he wasn't too far off. I was starting him every single week when he was at
yeah,
Carolina. But yeah, I have a Monra St. Brown, and I'll explain it just briefly. When Monra was at USC and coming out in the draft process, he wasn't getting a lot of hype because there was limited athleticism. You didn't see sharp breaks and at the top of its routes. The way he was used was more schemed, the way that Luther Burden is, and so he just didn't get the spotlight that he deserved, even though he was a highly, regarded recruit coming out, and he had that pedigree and the background with his father, and his brother Equanimous was in the NFL. Like, so there's pedigree there. So I think we missed out on some of that with Amon Ra. But the way I look at it, the way Luther Burden's used, he's getting schemed open. I don't think he's overly athletic, but he's very intelligent, just like Amon Ra St. Brown. He's got that yak ability, just like Amon Ra St. Brown does. He's got the intelligence of exploiting pursuit angles from the defenders, just like Amon Ra. The hands, just the ability to be tenacious and not allow coverage to manipulate how you are going to execute the second part of your play, and that is after the catch. And I see Luther Burden winning the exact same way that Amon Ra is in the NFL. The thing is, Amon Ra landed with a team that knows how to utilize and maximize
right.
the skill set. If he landed with the Bears or someone else who didn't know how to do that, we could be talking about a whole different type of player and fantasy asset. Could be the same with Luther Burden. He needs to land on a team that understands the limitations and will maximize that skill set. But if he does land on the right team, I see Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's great, and I think you're absolutely right. The team that utilizes him the way instead of lining him outside and say win vertical all the time,
Right.
it's going to be
That's not how he's played.
absolutely so.
Yeah.
And, he's been in the slot 60% just as a kind of go for position. He's been in the slot
Mhm.
60% during his career and out wide 40. So, he's got that versatility too, which I think is going to be really nice. So, all right, there you guys got it. That is our rookie profile scouting report on Mr. Luther Burden.